Hello and welcome to another episode of Brainstorm EDH. My name is Ike, and I want this channel to offer some fun, casual commander deck building ideas in order to brainstorm over the many possible commanders throughout Magic's awesome history. Nothing competitive, just for fun with friends, and as you'll notice, there's no particular budget we're working off of, it's just whatever we find fun. As with every deck, everyone will have their own preferences regarding what cards they'll include within their deck, so please take the recommendations within this video as simply suggestions. If you have any suggestions to offer the community regarding the commander we're about to discuss, then please comment on the video and tell us what they are. In this episode, we're brainstorming a deck list for Grand Arbiter Augustin IV. But this isn't a Stacks deck, it's a Super Friends deck. By the way, Stacks is used to describe an absolutely brutal control strategy, usually making it so that opponents can't access their mana or cast spells. Super Friends is used to describe a deck with a theme of Planeswalkers, and goes great with Grand Arbiter Augustin IV. It makes our Planeswalkers cheaper so we can get them out earlier, and slightly taxes our opponents to slow down their methods of dealing with our battlefield. I'm very excited to talk about this commander, so let's get started. This idea came from my desire to build a blue-white deck, but wanting to avoid stacks, which seems like a pretty common theme in these colors. However, after doing some searching, I found Grand Arbiter Augustin IV, and realized that it would make a perfect Super Friends deck. I also just love the name Grand Arbiter Augustin IV. Now with the intro out of the way, let's move on to our card categories. For this deck, I went with the following: Card Draw and Advantage, Ramp, Interaction and Protection, Tokens, Combat Enhancers, and Value. This deck focuses on Planeswalkers, and primarily wins through creating token creatures and attacking our opponents. There are Planeswalkers mixed throughout the various categories. Something you'll notice as we go through all the card inclusions is that some of the Planeswalker cards within these categories are moderately mana expensive. This is not ideal, however the deck still functions very well despite this, thanks to our commander making all of our spells cheaper. The first category we're going to go through is Card Draw and Advantage. The inclusions are Jace, Unraveler of Secrets, Mordenkainen, Rhystic Study, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Teferi, Master of Time, Teferi, Temporal Archmage, Teferi, Temporal Pilgrim, Teferi, Timeless Voyager, the Mightstone and Meekstone, the Reality Chip, Yugen the Ineffable, and Wizard Class. The average mana value for this category is higher than I'd like, but as mentioned, our commander helps immensely with this. Teferi, Temporal Pilgrim, in addition to Mordenkainen, make some particularly great creature tokens when we don't need to draw any more cards. The Reality Chip is an outstanding source of card advantage, one of my favorites in the color blue. The Mightstone and Weakstone can also remove a creature when it enters the battlefield, however I usually just use it to draw cards, thus it's included here. The real reason it's in the deck, though, is that it melds with Urza, Lord Protector, to create a really cool Planeswalker. That will be shown later in the video. Next up, Ramp. This contains Arcane Signet, Smothering Tithe, Soul Ring, Talisman of Progress, Thought Vessel, and Urza, Lord Protector. I didn't include much in this category, since we're already receiving a very good mana discount on all our spells from our commander. And now, let's look at the Planeswalker that melds together from controlling both Urza, Lord Protector, and the Mightstone and Weakstone. It's Urza Planeswalker. This version of Urza is very powerful, and always a lot of fun to pull off. Its loyalty abilities include Card Draw, Ramp, Removal, and Token Creature Creation, all in one Planeswalker. After Ramp comes Interaction and Protection. This category includes Cosmic Intervention, Ripples of Potential, Teferi's Protection, Vronos, Masked Inquisitor, Norn's Annex, Sphere of Safety, Maze of Ith, Dovin's Veto, Fierce Guardianship,
Arcane Denial,
Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Teferi Time Raveler, Karn Liberated, Ether Spouts, Cyclonic Rift, Farewell, Promise of Loyalty, Yugen the Spirit Dragon, and finally Swiftfoot Boots. The spells Cosmic Intervention, Ripples of Potential, Teferi's Protection, and Vronos Masked Inquisitor are all fantastic protection for our Planeswalkers. Norn's Annex, Sphere of Safety, and Maze of Ith are also great methods of protection. We're going to have a few more mass removal spells than normal, as we need to make sure we're able to deal with all our opponent's creatures. These are Ether Spouts, Cyclonic Rift, Farewell, Promise of Loyalty, and Yugen the Spirit Dragon. Next is a very important category in this deck: tokens. Here are the token-related cards I included: Anointed Procession, Mondrak Glory Dominus, Elspeth Stormslayer, Divine Visitation, Archangel Elspeth, Charismatic Conqueror, Elspeth Knight Errant, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Elspeth's Talent, Illustrious Wanderglyph, the Eternal Wanderer, and Shark Typhoon. This category includes token multipliers, makers, and buffers. I want to give a shout out to Shark Typhoon, which is not only hilarious, but my favorite token maker in this deck. Because it triggers off of all non-creature spells, this means that every Planeswalker we cast will come with its own protective flying shark. Next is Combat Enhancers. The cards here are Cathar's Crusade, Dollmaker Shop Porcelain Gallery, Elishnorn Grand Cenobite, Legion Loyalty, and Virtue of Loyalty. Elishnorn Grand Cenobite is here because it doesn't just buff our token army, but also debuffs our opponents' creatures, which is invaluable in a Super Friends deck in order to keep our Planeswalkers alive. Legion Loyalty will be outstanding for us because it effectively multiplies our army by however many opponents we have. Notice, the card gives all of our creatures Myriad, not just the non-token ones. Lastly is the value category. This list includes Deep Glow Skate, Ickermoon Gauntlet, Lae'zel, Vlaakith's Champion, Oath of Gideon, Oath of Teferi, Spark Double, Teferi Who Slows the Sunset, Teferi's Talent, the Chain Veil, Triumphant Reckoning, and Helm of the Host. Every card in this category is absolutely amazing in Super Friends decks. Spark Double is awesome because it can either copy a powerful Planeswalker or copy our commander, thus further discounting our spells and slowing down our opponents. Teferi Who Slows the Sunset is here simply because I find him very useful with a great emblem. And Lae'zel, Vlaakith's Champion, is just incredible with Planeswalkers, since its replacement effect not only impacts our Planeswalkers entering the battlefield, but also their positive loyalty abilities. Helm of the Host is here because it's just absurd with Grand Arbiter Augustin IV, and a lot of fun to pull off no matter what deck it's in. And lastly, lands. As per usual, this category is completely up to you, but I'll throw in a few comments. The first one is that I would recommend you be cautious with how many colorless producing utility lands you include. This is because our commander reduces the generic mana cost of our spells, which means that colored mana is going to be more important than usual. Secondly, try to avoid running a lot of lands that enter the battlefield tapped. With Planeswalkers, we need to ensure that they come out as quickly as possible, ideally before our opponents have a board state to deal with them. I'm running my normal quantity of 33 lands in this deck, but you can absolutely run more if that's more comfortable for you. Well, that's it for the deck building phase. Now for gameplay comments. This deck is likely to be an average speed when it comes to starting off. There's rarely a scenario in which we just explode on turn 3. And yet, despite this, our deck should hopefully be faster than our opponents, since our commander will be slowing them down a full turn. The goal is to get out enough Planeswalkers that our opponents simply can't deal with them all, create an army of tokens to protect our Planeswalkers, and then eventually win through combat with our huge army of tokens supported by our Planeswalkers. As a word of warning for those who haven't played a Super Friends deck before, for the sake of everyone involved, make sure you create a rough plan for your turn before it comes around to you again. Having multiple Planeswalkers on your battlefield comes with a real-life downside of taking up a lot of time while you're deciding which loyalty abilities you want to activate in what order. So planning a rough idea of what you'd like to do on your turn will save you a great deal of actual time. And that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you found this helpful. Are there any cards you'd include that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments. Do you disagree with any of my inclusions? Feel free to let me know. As mentioned, this channel is dedicated to brainstorming all the possibilities, so if you have any brainstorming to add in yourself, please do so. Have a great day, and I hope to have you all tune in again for the next video.